just make your job easy.
Time is running out for the West Coast Eagles to get their 2020 season back on track. A third consecutive loss in the Gold Coast hub has left the players and coaches searching for answers. A last-minute fixture change sees the Thursday night blockbuster against the Tigers abandoned due to Queensland's border restrictions, and the Sydney Swans now stepping in for a Saturday afternoon clash. Welcome to this week's episode of Eagle Review. Proudly sponsored by Kennards Hire, of course, shop in-store or online at your convenience, kennards.com.au. Tyson Beattie, this 2020 season continues to just throw up spanner after spanner in the works.
Well, Stephen, that's big news this morning. Just another curveball on what's already been a bizarre season already. So these are the details. We play the Sydney Swans on Saturday afternoon at Metricon Stadium on the Gold Coast. It goes from a 5-day break to a 7-day break, and we'll end up playing the Tigers later in the year instead. So for all details and continuing details, make sure you check out our social platforms and our website, westcoasteagles.com.au, Stephen.
You wouldn't want to be an AFL fixture right now. Their job seems the most difficult going around.
Absolutely. There's a lot of floating fixtures in other games as well, given that it's a moving environment with Victoria. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out in the future.
That's right. Now, a 48-point loss to the Port Adelaide Power. Now, that's 3 straight games they've lost in the hub to an average of 40 points. They are beltings. They're not close defeats. Second worst percentage in the competition behind, of course, the winless Adelaide. Second halves have been a problem. I think we've scored an average of 3 goals per second half in these games in the hub compared to the opposition's 8 or 9 goals. Absolutely blitzed in the back half of games. Now, you can't point to conditions as sunny as it gets out there. Adam Simpson says you cannot blame this on the hub. It's got nothing to do with their surroundings. They are just playing out of form and struggling in a few different areas, Dyson.
Well, there's problems in all 3 areas of the field, but there's a couple of statistics that have really stood out that we've noticed here in comparison to last year. In 2019, we were number 1 in the competition in points from stoppages. This year, we're 16th. That's a huge drop.
That was remarkable. With a plus 13 in clearances on the weekend, you'd think it'd have some ascendancy on the game, and the Power 5 goals to 3 in terms of clearances, and they get on top where it matters in front of goals.
Here's the other stat that really stood out for me. Last year, we were top ranked in goals per inside 50, right? That's very efficient, about 26%. This year, we're 20%, about a fifth of the time, 16th overall in the AFL.
Negative 12 for inside 50s on the day. That's not a great stat. West Coast just couldn't keep it in there. Adam Simpson said it's a major area that they need to address. 40% of inside 50s on the weekend were rebounded out by the opposition, and just 6% were created into stoppages. So they just can't lock it up. I mean, you want to be plus 13 in clearances. You get those stoppages in your forward half, your money. But they just can't lock it in. The rebound opposition just going whoop, whoop, straight over your head. Frustrating game to watch.
Yeah, clearly pressure is a problem at the moment. I'm sure they'll work on addressing that. But when you strip it all back, we've had 3 straight losses, 2 of them against really quality opposition. So, and when you look at it, the last time we lost 3 was a pretty successful year, 2018. So it's not season over.
No, it's not. It is certainly time to panic, but by no means is it over because of that stat you've just alluded to. But in the end, it's about confidence, Tyson. They need some, and I thought the start of that third quarter, they found it. I thought, is this going to be the turning point? 3 straight goals, 2 off Port Adelaide's turnovers. They got to within 11 points. I thought, here we go. And then the Power just went, nah, see you later. Bang, 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 and they didn't look back. Now, a lot of people will forget this, Tyson, is that we lost to the Power by 42 points last time we played them in 2019 here at Optus. Now, that's no mean feat to come over here and giving us a hiding like that. In 2018, they outplayed us for 3 quarters, and it wasn't until 3 crucial injuries took place before 3-quarter time, a flurry of late goals and some Gov heroics after the siren pulled out an unlikely win against the Power. So you can either say that the Power really have our measure and they match up very well against West Coast, or they're a genuine top 4 team that's continuing to improve over the years. I'd probably vote the latter.
Well, maybe you're even underestimating that. Maybe they are a genuine premiership contender. I mean, if you think about it, the teams that lose close games in one year tend to get over that the next year and improve massively. That's Port's story at the moment. They've got balance everywhere when it comes to a mixture of youth and experience. They've got a big, powerful key forward. Dixon scored 6 goals. He was a force down there, 6 contested marks, 12 score involvements.
Well, JK only had 5, and that was our leader, so it shows how big 12 score involvements for a key forward.
Well, I mean, they just look like a hungry team, and they've got a great midfield and a really good back line as well.
Provide good pressure as well, too, around the contest. They structure very well behind the ball. There's not much they're doing wrong at the moment, Tyson.
Yeah, and they've got a coach that's been there for a while as well. So, you know, it was a tough day, and it was particularly a tough day for our two milestone men that didn't get a win.
I mean, you always do want to win on your big games. Lewis Jetta, Jack Darling, unfortunately, not getting to have Gatorade sprayed all over them at the 200 celebrations. But instead, it was ex-Eagle Brad Ebert who had the final laugh at his 250th game. And he even played a pivotal role for them, 2 goals, and was lively off a half-forward flank. So credit to Brad on that one there. I thought our mids as a collective played better, Tyson. They improved. I think they were probably still outgunned by a really top-quality Port Adelaide midfield. Tim Kelly, probably arguably his best game in West Coast Eagles colours. I thought his goal, where he's kicked into the man on the mark, regathered at one-step check side, was one of his best that I have seen, worth a mention. But the captain, Luke Shuey, he's fought hard through this season already. I think everyone knows he's bruised and battered. Fought admirably with his game high equaling 12 contested possessions, 5 inside 50s, 5 clearances. That's all from 69% game time. Next closest mid, Tim Kelly, 80%.
Yeah.
So it shows you that they are really trying to nurse the captain through this period. But, I mean, the level of frustration, all he would want to be doing is getting out there and proving his worth, leading by example. Can't the body letting him down at the moment.
Oh, he's a tough guy. I mean, that extra couple of days might help him later this week as well, so maybe a bonus there. Andrew Gaff, also worth a mention as well. 27 disposals. So consistent. Perhaps he's in the top 2 for John Worsfold medal at the moment.
Good shout, Tyson. I think one other person that's joining him is probably Liam Ryan. I think he's been easily the most consistent forward since they've been in the hub. Another 5 inside 50s, and that contested mark and goal in the third was something very special from Liam. I think it's worth noting Kennedy's 4-goal performance as well. 6 marks inside 50. The Power had 12. So 6 for West Coast, and JK had 4 of them. 3 contested. You shudder to think what the result might have been if our superstar key forward wasn't on the field that day.
That's a good point. Let's have a look at the ruck duel, because this was an interesting situation. We went with the 2-ruck combination, which we talked about or just debated a couple of weeks ago. So we had 63% game time for Nick Nat, 41% for Tom Hickey. Now, 63%, if you look at Oscar Allen when he was rucking the week before, 37%.
It's a tough ask, yeah.
Hard to get into it.
Because in the end, the Power, they only need to cover their 17% to give a chop out for Lycett. So that's just split between Westhoff and Dixon. Very easy to manage for, people that aren't ruckmen, that are just key position forwards, pinch hitting.
Yep.
But 37% for Oscar Allen. You can see why they brought Hickey in. But 4 disposals and 2 marks, the coaches are going to have to weigh up whether they do want a livelier forward to lock that footy into the forward 50 that they're having trouble with. It's a very difficult decision of what they value more. First use out of the centre, because we got that with plus 13 clearances, but we still yielded a 48-point loss.
I think it was interesting watching the battle as well between Scotty Lycett and former teammate Nick Nat Nui. Lycett a couple of times actually understood what Nick was going to do, so sort of got his tendencies a little bit, even though Nick really won the duel.
Well, he had a variation of different tactics he was trying, and obviously they've battled together for so many years on the practice track. I found it a very fascinating duel, and I thought Scott Lycett probably squared off and did a fantastic job, unfortunately. Now, to reports, Will Schofield, of course, a defender in the third quarter, has been suspended for 1 week at this point in time for headbutting Zach Butters. Now, that's been deemed as intentional, low impact and high contact. The West Coast Eagles, at this point, yet to make a call of whether they'll accept or challenge. I can't see on what grounds you would challenge. A very disappointing moment for my old podcasting sparring partner and a senior member of the footy club to do something like that. It cost them a shot on goal after they just kicked one. And they were able to rebound that back from the kick out because they missed and got a goal from that. So no centre clearance able to happen for West Coast, get the ball back in our favour. And really, Adam Simpson's disappointment, you hope that that's not going to be a blemish on his selection criteria going forward, and you put it off to a one-off mistake, and his record speaks for itself.
It was just a snap of frustration. I mean, clearly the ball was coming in there so often, and it was very difficult to defend in those circumstances. Dixon was on fire. It was a tough game for them. But I think it was just a snap of frustration. And maybe you'll get a chance to hear from Will later in the week on Coast to Coast.
If I can convince him to do it, yes, that's right. Jermaine Jones, first game for the Eagles, also copped a fine from the match review panel for striking. Just going to be money and no weeks missed. But not a lot of people know much about old Jermaine Jones, Tyson.
I think he played pretty well. He had 12 disposals. This was his 9th game of footy. We got him over from Geelong in the off-season, the last player to make the list. I think it's a good story building a little bit here. Simo has said that he's looking for someone without Willie Rioli. He's looking for a forward that can step up and contribute. he might progress from here.
He's got good size, so let's hope he can play a few games so we can see what he's made of. It's time for our Kennards roast of the round, and there's no better place to start than the beginning of the match, when both ruckmen turn to the umpire and say, oh, free kick's going West Coast way, and it doesn't. Well, the two men rung or the umpire? That's for you to decide at home. This one from Sam Powell-Pepper, that's a mark every day of the week. Tommy Cole thanking his lucky stars. Now, JK, great mates with Northampton teammate Jamie Cripps. Jeez, he burnt him hard. Jamie Cripps goalless so far in 2020. Didn't he let him know about it too?
They're from the same town. There's only 600 people in Northampton. Surely they've got better chemistry than that. Have a look at this one from Archie. Absolutely runs over Cripps. What's happening there, Ben?
Yeah, just to don't argue, Jamie Cripps not expecting such power from the cheat.
What about this one? Nick Nat footy right to the face from a TV spoil there. That's not pretty at all.
Always a bit of velocity on TV spoil, so should have seen it coming. The fourth quarter, there's nothing worse when you're only playing for percentage and a bit of pride, having an absolute S-mix like this. Old Archie and Duggan smashing into each other, and I really was hoping that both would get up. They did, only just.
How about this one from Shuey? Now, Boots can be cunning at times. Looking for a 50-metre penalty out of this one. The umpire doesn't like it, and neither does Boak.
No, Boak was well onto it. I thought it was not a bad tactic, but in the end, the power numbers streamed back, and it didn't quite pay off.
Now, here's the winner, though. This is Richmond St Kilda. Quarter time, Jack Riewoldt taking a shot at goal. Have a look.
Let's have a look at this. So you can see where the angle is.
Oh, yeah, he's played on.
He's played on.
He has played on.
I think he kicked it before the sign sounds.
So that roast is for the goal umpire, the field umpire, or maybe even the arc. I'm not sure, but it's definitely wrong, isn't it?
All three, and the Tigers lost anyway, so who cares?